So, if you're anything like I used to be, as the school year is rolling around, it's coming up real quick. So, you're scrambling to get your school supplies. You end up opening your backpack and find that stubborn, weird smell that has been left from last year, and you recognize it's like unremovable and you need a new backpack last minute. And mentally, you're still in summer mode, even as your classes start, you're in school, fall is approaching, you're still in summer mode, totally unprepared for what school has in store for you. If this hits home for you, you're not alone. Because this was me literally every single school year up until last school year, where I was like, I'm going to cut the BS. We're going to get prepared for the school year and stop feeling like my life is just strictly tunnel vision. I have no time for anything. I feel super stressed out and overwhelmed during the school year. We're not doing that anymore. The way to avoid those feelings during the school year is prepping before school starts, not doing all of these things while you're in school, while you're trying to study in class, all of that. It's just not going to work. So, prepping beforehand, whether it's a month, even 2 months out, couple weeks is good enough. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. But first, if you're new here, my name is TheDayDayJ. Thank you for clicking on this video. I would like to bet if you clicked on this video, you're someone who is into personal development, self-help, and you just want to be the best overall version of yourself, whether that's going into the school year, being the best self in your relationships, your self-care, health and wellness. All of that is part of what I talk about on my channel. Welcome to the crew. All right, now with all of that out of the way, let's get into the actual content. The first thing that, as a piece of advice to get ready to be prepared for the school year, is to get your space prepared. So, what I mean by this is obviously like going through all of your things and really just decluttering your space, getting rid of things that you do not want, donate them, give them to a friend. If they're not donatable or giveawayable, throw them away or find a new use for them. Just because I find that in the middle of the school year, I like when I did not do this, I would find that my space gets very cluttered very easily because I didn't, do all of that decluttering before the school year. And what often happens, like during the school week and whatnot, I'll end up like waiting to clean my room to the end of the week because I'm just so busy. But if it's already decluttered and already organized for me and set up in a proper way, that cleaning won't be as difficult to do in the middle of the week or at the end of the week, whatever. Also, just like doing things like going through your wardrobe and making sure that there's pieces in there, like you love all of your pieces and all of that, and making sure there's not like pieces in your wardrobe that you haven't wore in a very, very long time. Also, going through your wardrobe, and I understand it's still warm outside in most places, so you can't necessarily put up your summer clothes yet. But I would say maybe like compile them and put them in one spot so that once it does get a bit cooler outside, you'll be able to just put those up. Or however you manage your summer and winter clothes system. I don't know where you live or if you're able to wear the same clothes all year round. Speaking on like people like me who live in like the Midwest where we have 4 seasons, um, for me, like I have to put up my summer clothes during the winter time. There's just no point of having them out. I cannot wear them. So getting that out of the way before the school year starts, just making sure your space is nice, tidy, and how you want it. This doesn't mean you have to like go out and buy cute decorations or little knickknacks or anything. You don't have to buy anything. Just making sure your space is set up in an ideal way for you to function correctly and most efficiently and effectively when you're studying. I just really recommend getting this out of the way because I promise you, you're not going to want to do this in the middle of the school year when you're super busy with your finals, your studying, all of that. Because usually, like back in high school when there wasn't super intense studying, it wasn't super stressful, all of that, I'd usually go through and put up my summer clothes at like the end of September. But now that I get right into school, things get crazy real quick. We're doing that before school starts. And by the way, I actually didn't mention this. I'm going into my junior year of college, if you were wondering. All right, y'all. So the next thing on my list of advice on like how to get prepared for the school year is getting your body prepared. So let's be real. Most of us, throughout the summer, we're not necessarily taking the absolute best care of our body. And there are some nuances here because I know for me personally, I have more time in the summer. So I have more time to like cook, I have more time to work out and move my body. So, yes. But at the same time, like I'm not getting, the best sleep. Maybe I'm staying up later than I usually do. I'm waking up later in the day. Maybe sometimes, our routines get kind of pushed off and we don't do our routines as religiously in the summertime. As I mentioned, some of us may, fall off on our eating habits. We might, go out more and eat more takeout, things like that. Some of us may drink. and we're drinking more, and so just all of these things that are a little bit different during the summertime. And maybe it's not super different for you during the summertime, but I would still argue that you do need to get your body prepared. So again, that means like begin a consistent sleep schedule. I do not recommend on the night before school trying to start that habit of getting going to bed at, let's say, 10 o'clock, waking up at 6 a.m. I don't recommend starting that when you have to. I recommend starting it before you have to be able to get in that habit and get used to the feeling of going to bed earlier, waking up earlier. You know what I mean? So for me, lately, I've been going to bed at like 11, 12 at night, waking up when I don't have work. I usually wake up around like 9 o'clock without an alarm. But I recognize for school, like I have to be in bed by 10 o'clock and I have to be up by 6 a.m. every weekday. So that's going to take a little bit of some work on my end to get used to that again, because I've been so used to sleeping in a bit more during the summertime. In a way, I want to say this is getting your body prepared. It's also kind of getting your space prepared in a way. And this is buying quick and easy nutritional foods that you can just grab and go, because us college students, we're busy. Okay, most of us are really busy with school, work, social life, family, all of that, and so it can be hard to eat well and put nutrition into your body. So I recognize what works for me is buying quick and little easy snacks that I can just like grab and go, like carrots and ranch or carrots and hummus. Also, like I like pita bread and hummus. Having little strawberries or apples on hand. I think there's like this new. It's not HelloFresh. It's Factor is what it's called. They have like little like nutritional meals that you can just heat up in the oven or in the microwave. So getting little things like that, because if you know yourself well enough, and if you're like me and you know yourself well enough, you know that if you're stressed out, you're tired, overwhelmed, you got a lot to do, you're not going to want to cook yourself a nutritional meal. You're just not going to want to do it. But if you can just grab something out the freezer or the fridge and heat it up right quick, and get that nutrients in, that can be an easier way to do that. And I would say, like, preparing in the way, like maybe a week before, a few days before school starts, going out to the grocery store and getting these things, or ordering off a Factor or HelloFresh or whatever works for you, just so it's already set. You don't have to think about it for at least that week, beginning of the first week of school. You don't have to think about it. And maybe like implementing going grocery shopping into your schedule, and we'll get more into that as I go down the list of my tips. All right, so the next piece of advice that I have, that I feel like most of us want to know the most, is how to be mentally prepared for what the school year has in store for us, right? Because let's be real, I think for most of us, it's a little depressing in a way, leaving summer, going into fall, going into school, just because we recognize a lot of our free time is not going to be free time anymore. We're not going to be able to have as much fun as we did, maybe. We're not going to be able to work on our hobbies as much. And so, understanding that, but then also at the same time, try to romanticize like the school life and like studying and all of that. Try to romanticize it. So, maybe like follow people on TikTok or Instagram, or subscribe to people on YouTube who do like the little like hour study sessions and like record themselves studying. Little like cute study aesthetics on Pinterest. You can look up like study aesthetic or college aesthetic, and like cute little pictures of girls like studying at a cafe or at a library will pop up, and it just maybe make you just a little bit more motivated to get up and study and just be ready to learn. I know that helps for me. Just really romanticizing life in general. I know like some people like fall, others don't. Me, I really, really love fall. I love the colors. I love the weather. I love all the smells. And for me, it's just a very easy time to romanticize. But if it's not for you, like for me, winter is a time I completely dread. It's very hard for me to romanticize. If that's fall for you, just try maybe thinking about what are some things you can do to romanticize fall, depending on the person, like going pumpkin picking, or going to an apple orchard, or going to a corn maze, doing little things like that to maybe try and romanticize the season or this point in time. Along with getting your mind prepared, I think this is a great time to begin your vision for fall. So some of us like to maybe create fall or like vision boards, kind of similar to a mood board or like a goal setting board in a way, But really, it's just a visual representation of what you would like your fall to look, feel, and just be like overall. I don't know if I have one from last year, but if I do, I'll put it up on the screen. But really, it's just pictures that help you, like, bring you back to what you want to be doing during this time. So, like, for me, I think on my previous one, I had like a girl again, like at an apple orchard with her friends. I had like baking cookies with family and friends on there. So like just looking at that and being able to be like, oh yeah, that's something I want to do, especially when you're in school, because it can be really hard to get out of this tunnel vision mode of just school, school, school. If you're working school and work, to be able to just loosen up and have fun and do those things that you said you wanted to do. With that, I think like having fun and doing these things that you said you want to do will make you, like, if you do it right, it'll help you show up better academically because you're not completely just tied to school. That's not all your mind is thinking about. You have something to look forward to. And also, just quite frankly, creating vision boards are just super fun. You can also add on here any goals that you have for this season as well. So maybe your goal is to study X amount of hours a week. You can maybe have some pictures on there of somebody studying in very like cute aesthetic places so that when you look at that, you're like, oh yeah, like studying can be cool. It can be fun. I can find a nice little space for me to study and I can actually enjoy it. Now, aside from the vision board, this would also be a good time to start to brainstorm what are your fourth quarter goals, because we are going to be quickly moving into it, I believe, in October. We are currently still in the third quarter. But like I said, once the school year comes around, things get to moving fast. You don't think about certain things. You're really just focused on school for most people. And it can be hard to think about what are your goals? What are things that you are working toward outside of school, outside of your academics, because it's very important to have those goals. So for me, right off the top of my head, I know one of my fourth quarter goals is to get better at my YouTube videos. Now, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I have to do some more brainstorming and thinking on my end to be able to solidify that goal, but I know that's one of my goals. And that goal works because I have something to look forward to. I have something outside of school to be excited about and to work towards. And I think that's very important. Now, if you're interested in what I'm talking about today, if you're also interested in social commentary, personal development, fashion, and how it relates to our psychology and how we show up, consider subscribing to my channel because I talk a lot about these things. And quite honestly, I'm very passionate about all of these things. And I really want to be able to share my point of views and my thoughts with as many people as possible. All right, on to the next pieces of advice for getting prepared for school. And this is mainly for people who already know their class schedule or have a rough idea of what their class schedule will be like going into the fall semester. So it is to construct a very rough weekly schedule for yourself. Now I recognize some of us are a couple weeks out from school, a month out, or yeah, a month out from school. And so you might not know exactly what your schedule is going to be like, but if you maybe you do have your classes already, maybe you have a rough idea, you can begin to create a weekly rough schedule for yourself and begin implementing those maybe goals that you want to work on this season. So for me, like I said, getting better at my YouTube videos. So that means maybe allocating a little bit more time to editing and filming and planning my videos. And so I would have to work that into my week along with my classes and studying as well. And I say very rough because you might not know exactly how many hours you're going to study. You might not know like how much time it will take you to get from class to class, things like that. But like I said, just create a very rough schedule. And once you get into the actual semester, you can tweak around with it, move things around, and make them work the best for you. But I think this one is so important, especially because, like all the other tips, during the school year, it's just a little stressful. It can be stressful, it can be overwhelming, and you just want to focus on school. You don't want to do all these other little things like planning your normal ideal week, right? So if you get that out the way now, walking into it, you can already have a rough idea and just know that like you're able to change up the schedule, move things around, and whatnot. Also, having a weekly schedule will make you will help you see how much time you actually have and how much time you can actually allocate to leisure time or hobbies or hanging out with friends. Because I think in the school year, it can feel so much just like everything is school. You don't have time for anything. And I felt like this for so long. And even I'm sure I will feel like this during the school year at some point. But what really helps me is having a calendar and having everything on my calendar, um, even down to eating, even down to going to class, to see what are little chunks of time that I have that I can allocate to different things. Really all about like maximizing your time and using your time as efficiently as possible. And making a weekly schedule is definitely the start to doing that. So last but certainly not least on my list of advice on how to prepare for the school year is planning and setting dates for the fall now. It might seem like it's too far out, and I say fall as in like September, October, November. I know fall doesn't technically start till October, but planning and setting dates for anything that's during the school year now. Whatever you can plan now and set dates on now, do that now. I think number one, having things to look forward to during the school year again it can just help you show up better academically. It can make you more excited about life and just make you a overall just better, well-rounded human being and show up better in life when you have things to look forward to. But also because during the school year, it just is it gets hard. It gets hard to plan and set those dates, especially like with friends that are also in school as well. You might be like, oh, we should hang out, we should get together, one of these days, but you never actually set a date. That tends to happen a lot, I notice. But I'm all for like getting a date on the calendar as quickly as possible and sticking to that date. And I say planning things because, again, like you get into the school year, you're not going to feel like planning some sort of elaborate trip or elaborate get together or night, or even if it's something simple. Sometimes, truly, during school, you just do not have the capacity to plan a get together with your friends or your family or an outing or whatever. So it can just be, it can be hard during the school year. So that's why I recommend getting those like bigger things set now. So if it's like a friend's birthday, maybe reaching out to them and asking like, hey, when were you thinking about celebrating your birthday so I can put it on my schedule? Thinking about like if you have a birthday, getting that on your schedule and figuring out what you want to do, and what day, putting that on there as quickly as possible. If there's any like special like football games or activities, or I know fashion week is coming up, any fashion week shows you want to go to, getting those dates set on the calendar now is so crucial, because you'll get into the school year, you might feel very flustered, very stressed, very overwhelmed, all of that, and you're not going to be thinking about these things. I promise you, I've been there, especially someone who is very focused on their academics during the school year. I sometimes just don't have the capacity to plan things. I guess along with this tip, which is kind of like a bonus tip, is to let your friends and family know, like, I'm sure logically they know that you're going into school, but they don't know exactly what that entails. So for me, I would tell them like, hey, you guys know like the school year is coming back up. I'm going to be a bit more busy. I might not, be able to hang out as much or see you guys as much, but I absolutely want to see you guys. So let's get a date set on the calendar, or let's try and see each other, a couple times a month or once a week, whatever works for you. Just letting them know, like, because we like logically, I'm sure they know, like you're busy, whatever, but just like reiterating that to them so that they fully understand, and that they can effectively like plan things with you. I know for me, like especially my first year of college, a lot of my friends will ask me to hang out literally the day of or a day before, and I had to tell them like that does not work for me anymore. I have my days set. I have to study, I have to go to class, all of these things. And so you letting me know the day of or a day before is not going to work. I'm not going to be able to show up. So I let my friends know like, hey, you got to give me at least 3 to 4 days notice. A week notice is ideal. So setting those little boundaries there so that you're still able to hang out with your friends and family without feeling resentment or without feeling like you're, disregarding like your studying and all of that just to go hang out with them. So yeah, I think that is very important as well. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. If you like videos like this, consider checking out my how to level up video. I'll leave it here on the screen. And the reason why I say this is the main tip is because all the other tips kind of fall under this umbrella is expansion. You need to expand beyond what you know. Link it down in the description box. Because I'm sure if you're on my channel, you're all about leveling up, personal development, being the best version of yourself. And that's all I'm here to talk about on my channel through the lens of a person coming from a difficult upbringing, not from the best background, all of that. So that's where I'm coming from. Also, check out my Instagram. All my socials are the Day J. I'm most active on YouTube and Instagram. Once this video is uploaded, I'll have a podcast episode up on my channel a week from today. And hopefully I'll see you in that episode. Bye.
p.m. on a private flight. All this chrome on my body like a medieval knight. I was fucking up a sock on that purple Sprite. Yeah, all my bitches beneficial, even told a pistol. Even blow it like a whistle, lie to officials.